Hey guys, it's Sarah from She's Crafty and She Knows It, and today I'm going to show you how to make this knit hat. So if you haven't knitted or crocheted anything before, do not be intimidated. You do not need any knitting experience to knit this hat. It's actually very simple. Okay, so to knit this hat, I'm going to be using this knitting loom set. Guys, I have used this knitting loom set, I don't even know for how long, since I was about 16 years old. So it's been about 20 years. So I've been using it for a long time. I actually used to knit hats with this loom set and sell them in a boutique back in Dallas, and I made a lot of money as a college student doing that. So this makes gorgeous hats. So I'm going to show you how simple it is to use this. It's very easy. Like I said, you don't need any knitting experience at all. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the knitting loom. I will link the knitting loom in the description below this video so you can grab one. It's not expensive. I think it was $15 for the whole set, and it comes with everything you need. Not the yarn, but it comes with 4 different loom sizes and explains how to use it. So the instructions are in here, but I'm just going to show you so that you can kind of see firsthand how easy it is. So it comes with 4 looms, 4 different sizes, so that you can make 4 different size hats for babies, children, grown-ups, etc. And then it comes with an instruction book right here. Okay, so in my opinion, this set is awesome. The one thing that's kind of lacking is really good instructions about the sizing. And so I just want to explain real quick. It comes with 4 different looms. I usually use this orange one right here for most of the stuff I make, but there are 4 sizes. So this tiny little green one is extra small. It's really great for preemie babies, newborns, like true little newborns, and then like the American Girl type dolls. Teeny tiny. If you have like a 9-pound newborn like I did, this honestly is probably going to be too small. It just depends on the size of their head. So tiny little babies. This one is babies to about 1 year old. Obviously it depends on how big the baby is, how big their head is. I know it looks pretty big, but it kind of shrinks up when you knit it and you take it off the loom. You'd be surprised how it kind of shrinks the way it looks. It contracts when it comes together. So really baby to 1. This right here is good for toddlers all the way to like tweens, teenagers, and then most women and really lean or skinny guys. This bigger one, it can be used for other things. You can do bags and all kinds of things on it, but this is for like men, maybe larger women. Like my husband is actually really lean, but I love him, but he has kind of a bigger head. I joke with him about it. So this is probably what I'd use for his head. I know it looks huge, but I promise once you get knitted on there and take it off, it's not huge. So let me show you. This is actually a hat I made forever ago, like when I was in high school. So it's held up pretty well, and I did it on the loom that's this size, and I did a brim on it. So you can actually do a brim on these hats, but today I will not be showing you that, but there's instructions in the book on how to do a brim. So for today, we're gonna get started. I'm gonna use this one. So I call them, the book, like I said, is not very clear. I call them extra small, small, medium, and large. And so I'm going to be using the medium size. Okay, so we're going to move the other ones to the side. Going to move our instructions and stuff. And actually, guys, the instruction book is fairly good. It's not super detailed, but it does tell you when to get started, how to get started. So you can follow it. And here is the little hook you will need. The hook is what you'll use the whole time. And then this is for the very end. There's a little tip on the hook, and so you'll want to take the little plastic tip off. It's kind of hard to pull off, but there we go. Just like a little plastic tip on there. Okay, so if you're not used to knitting or using yarn, you can usually find the end wrapped around somewhere, but it's really hard to do that. It gets crazy when you're using it. So reach inside. See if you can see this. So there's an end right here. If I use this end, it's going to constantly roll the ball, and the ball has to spin while you're knitting. It gets really annoying. So don't use the end that's easy to find on the outside. I know that seems crazy, but I tuck that in. It is much easier to find the other end that's somewhere inside, and it will come out much easier while you're knitting. But it usually brings a whole ball out with it. So see, now a whole ball came out. But now while you're knitting, the ball can just stay still, and you're pulling from the inside instead of it having to spin around and roll as you're unraveling it. I hope that makes sense. But it's much easier in the long run to stick your hand inside and get the big ball that's inside and find the end that way. Okay, let me get the end ready. And like I said, I will link these looms and this yarn if I can find it This yarn is just, let me see, it's a super bulky number 6 yarn. It's wool. It's gonna be really warm and fuzzy, and it's a good weight for doing this. Okay, so I have my end. I'm gonna leave maybe about 6 inches of a little tail, and then you're gonna do, I do a slip knot. So if you're not used to doing slip knots, I wrap it around my fingers, and then I pull like a little loop like this through it. And so all I'm gonna do is you're gonna place the slip knot on the hook right here, and you're gonna pull it tight. Hopefully you can see that. So you pull it tight. It holds the yarn on this little hook. So this is the hook that holds your yarn. Okay, now you have this yarn. You can wrap it around either direction. I like going this way. Some people go like, clockwise. I like going counterclockwise. It's just easier for me. And so what you do is you take the yarn behind the first peg. So like I said, you can pick which direction you go. I'm gonna go to the right. I'm gonna go counterclockwise. You go behind the first peg and you wrap it in front. Then you go behind the next one and wrap it in front. Okay, so we're gonna go all the way around the whole loom. You can hold it however you want, that's comfortable to you. Now keep the yarn taut. Do not overly pull it tight. If you overly pull it too tight, it will make it hard when the next step comes and you will regret it. Okay, so we've done all the way around. So you can see every peg has a loop on it. Now what you're gonna do is I kind of just pinch it and hold the yarn with this hand, and you're gonna push all the loops down. So we're just going around and you're pushing them down. If you want to wrap the yarn around the peg and push it down with both hands, you're not gonna mess it up. However you find this easy is to do this. Worst case scenario, this last peg, I'll show you. Worst case scenario, the last peg kind of comes undone and you can retighten it. Okay, so now we have one loop pushed all the way down to the bottom. We're gonna do it again, and we're gonna wrap it around, and now we're gonna wrap around one loop above the ones on the bottom. So go all the way back around. And guys, this is not complicated. Once you get this part down, this is pretty much how you do the entire hat. This is a great thing to sit down and watch TV. Okay, so now we're back. We have 2 loops on every single peg. You are going to wrap, you want this yarn to stay around this peg. So wrap the yarn, if I can get it, around the peg a couple times. You want to try and stay there. You can still hold it. Sometimes I still pinch it with my thumb like this. You're going to use your hook. And the idea is that you take the bottom loop and you're going to pull it up and over the top loop. I'm going to show you again. So I have my little hook. You stick the hook. There's kind of a groove on these pegs right here, and that's where the hook of the needle goes. So you stick it under the bottom loop, and you're going to pull it up over. And so to help me, I put the hook right here on it, and I kind of push up over the peg. And you're gonna keep doing that all the way around. Now this is where I said if you pulled your yarn super tight when you were looping them on here, it's gonna be really hard for you to lift the bottom loop up and over the top. And so that's why I do it, but I don't make it overly tight. So in case I didn't mention, I got our 9-year-old her own little set, and it was a specific set from Michaels. I will try to link it below. It's a specific set that comes with its own like rainbow yarn and its own little pom-poms and stuff to go on the hat. And I gave it to her, and she likes crafts, but she also kind of gets frustrated if things don't come easily. And I was happily surprised, but she knitted herself her own hat. I only had to help at the very end with the kind of tying it off, and she was so proud of herself. So this is totally something a kid can do. Really, probably depending on how much your kid can, pay attention and concentrate, anywhere from like 7 to 8, definitely 8 and up could do. Okay, so now we're just pushing down all of those that we just did. And guys, that's it. You just repeat this process. Now, the thing will tell you, the little instruction booklet will tell you how long to knit the hat. Now, obviously, if you want an extra long hat, you want it to be slouchy up at the top of your head, which is really popular, or you know that, your boyfriend or husband has a super long skinny head, then you might need to be a little bit longer. I will put in the comments of this, or not in the comments, but I'll put in the description of this video and on my blog, kind of some guidelines for how long it needs to be. But a typical adult, so like if this is for a woman or a lean man, about 8 to 9 inches long. So you're gonna knit until it's 8 to 9 inches long hanging down. If it's a larger woman or a larger man, maybe 9 to 10 inches. And so I'll put all those different guidelines for the babies and stuff on my blog post, and that way you can have them there. Okay, so now you kind of unwrap. This is your working yarn. This tail is gonna stay here for a little bit longer, then we're gonna unwrap it. And then you're gonna go around and wrap again. And so that is really the idea of the entire thing. So I'm telling you, it's a lot of repetitive movements, but it's kind of one of those like easy, like I said, an easy task to do while you're watching Netflix or Hulu or whatever you like watching and listening to a podcast. It is a really easy activity that just passes the time, and you can make some really gorgeous hats. Okay, same thing. So we're gonna go up and over. Oh, I forgot to wrap it. So sometimes I don't even wrap it, I just hold it, but you'll probably want to wrap it. So that's up to you how you want to do that. If you want to hold it, if you want to wrap it. So you go around. The main thing is you want to make sure, so that was one of the things my daughter got a little bit tripped up on, was wrapping the yarn. So let me show you one more time. Oh, I'm pulling the yarn. Okay. Okay, so now remember we go back around and we push them down. Okay, so you can see it's making a really cool pattern on the inside. So one of the things that my daughter kind of every now and then would get confused on is she would start going the other direction. She would start going in front and wrapping like this. Okay, that's doing the opposite. So that's gonna make the knitted pattern on the inside of the hat, and this pattern that we're seeing right now on the outside. So you have to stay consistent. So you always do wrap the yarn in the back, and so you'll see the loop in the front. So, which is easy to remember because the loop is what you're lifting up over and the needle goes underneath it. So always do the same direction, wrapping the yarn around the back. Okay, and so I'm gonna keep doing this until this hat is about 8.5 inches long. This hat's gonna be for me or one of my girls, and so we all need about the same 8 to 8.5 inches long. So I'm gonna keep doing this, go watch a movie or do something, and I will come back in a little bit when I'm ready to finish it off and add a pom-pom. I got some really cute pom-poms at Amazon that I'm gonna share the link with for you because they're really cute and were cheap, and they're gonna make the hat look so professional versus a homemade knitted hat. So I'm really excited to show you those. So I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, go watch a movie or a TV show and get myself a cup of coffee, and I will be back in a little bit. Okay, bye guys. You guys, I was knitting and watching TV. I've only done one more row, and I just realized that I forgot to tell you that once you've done a few rows, this is gonna start pulling where your knitting is. So you just unwrap. This is like the very beginning yarn with the tail. You go ahead and unwrap it off the hook. So you don't need it. I can even use, you can use your little hook if you want to. You don't need it on there once you've done a few loops. And so now it was a slip knot, so you can undo the knot. And so now it's kind of on here in the inside. You can loop it through if you want to right now. I'm gonna let it hang because later I'll tie it off nicely and kind of weave it back in there where you can't see it. So if anything, you can kind of loop it through to hold it in place, but this is not how we will keep it for the long run. So you can just kind of do a loop or something, and then we'll deal with it at the end. But I just forgot. So after you do a few rows of knitting, unhook it from here, and now the peg will solely be for wrapping the yarn around while you're doing the hooks with the pegs, if that makes sense. So leave that there, unhook it, and then keep going. Okay, bye guys. I'll be back in a little bit. Okay guys, so I am back. I have knitted, it is 8.5 inches long right now, and so I am done knitting. Look how pretty it is. Isn't that crazy that just using this loom makes such a pretty knitted hat, and who need no knitting experience? It's crazy to me. So pretty. Okay, so we have that needle back from the very beginning that was in that package, and so we're gonna use that. We're gonna cut this yarn, and we're gonna cut it actually about 24 inches. So just get a piece that's about 2 feet long, so you can kind of measure 1 foot, 2 foot, okay. Cut the end. You're gonna stick the end through this needle, like so. Okay, and what you're gonna do is, so this is the last loop I did right there. So I'm gonna kind of pull it around, sorry. Okay, so I have my needle, this is the last loop where the yarn's coming from. We're gonna go to the first loop, just like we did before. This is the first loop for me. And you're gonna stick the needle up through the loop like this. And you're gonna do the next one. It's hard with it sticking out in front of me, but you're gonna stick the needle up through each loop. We're We're gonna go all the way around like that. And what we can do is, once we start, you're actually going to pull, so once this yarn is not too long, I'm gonna start pulling some of the loops off. So once the yarn is through it, the loops can come off the pegs if you want to. And you can use your hook too if you need to. You shouldn't really need it though. Like I said, you can use a hook for this if you want to, but you really don't need it. It comes off, these come off pretty easily, right over the top. So this is the part that I helped my 9-year-old daughter with. So if you have a kid that's doing it, they might need help with this part. I think that she could have done it on her own, but she was a little bit worried about somehow messing it up. I think really even a kid could do it by this part by themselves if they wanted to. Okay. So now the yarn is going all the way through like that. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull it. Now this is where this yarn is strong and sturdy, but you don't want to pull it so tight that you accidentally break the yarn. So you're going to pull it tight like that so that it closes in like the circle right there. Okay, you can see right now how pretty the hat is. This is the knitted side. Just like normal knitting, this is the back side. So if you wanted to do it for some reason and have this be like that, that's cool too. But this is the way I'm going to do it. And like I said, I did not do a brim. The one that I did before, decade or longer ago, has a brim, and the instructions are in there on how to do the brim. You basically just knit a chunk and then you fold it over and it tells you how to do it. It's actually really easy. So I wanted to do this one without the little brim. Okay, so we're gonna pull it tight like that. So now what we're gonna do is, I actually have these really cool pom-poms that I bought on Amazon. I wanna show you. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to do. There's like a dark one and there's the lighter. I think I'm actually gonna do the darker one. Okay, so you can see this is a brown one and it has like little, I don't know if you can tell, the little tips are black. These are really pretty pom-poms and they were super cheap. I just wanna show you how they come. I'll show you both of them. This is how they kind of come in a package. They're super smushed, as you can see. And I tried like shaking it and doing all that. Oh, there's something in it. And I could not get it. If you shake it, it doesn't really fluff up. And so I blow dried them. So this was after blow drying them on all sides for, you know, not even a minute each. And look how full and fluffy. Look at the difference between how it came and how fluffy it is. So they're really pretty pom-poms. Okay, these pom-poms actually come, if you can see, within a little elastic loop on the bottom. So you have your little elastic loop right there. And you already have your yarn through the needle. So I'm gonna stick the needle through the elastic loop. These pom-poms come with this loop for attaching. So you don't have to add that or anything. You're gonna pull the yarn through, and you've already pulled this circle really tight right there. So it's already pulled tight like that. You put the pom-pom right on top of that circle, and you're gonna stick your needle. Instead of sticking it through the center of the well, you could stick it through the center of the hole, but the yarn, if you can tell, is coming out right here on the side. I hope you can see that. So this last stitch is over here. I don't really want to go through the middle of the hole because I don't want it to be too loosey-goosey. So I'm going to actually go across the other side. So across, so the yarn starts on one side and goes across the hole. And I'm going to stick it through the hat. And now we're going to flip the hat inside out. So I'm going through up here. Okay, now we're going to turn inside out so we can see what we're working with. You're going to pull it real tight. So when I pulled it tight, it's now attaching the pom-pom to the top of the hat. So pull it real tight. Now remember, you've already pulled the center tight. There should not be a huge gaping hole. I want you to be able to see. There should not be a huge gaping hole right here. You've already pulled the center tight. The pom-pom is now pulled tight. So now it's all real taut. You want to keep it taut. So I'm going to do a knot right next to where it's pulled through. I'm going to kind of stick my yarn through a loop near it, and we're going to tie a knot. So you can use your needle even if you want to kind of get the yarn through and pull it real tight. And I'm going to do a couple different knots real tight so that it's really secure. I'm just doing knots right where the center is. Okay, let's see. Okay, so the pom-pom is now attached. Super cute. Okay, let's do a couple more little, just going to kind of weave the yarn through to the other side of the hole. And I'm going to attach it over here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just tie one more knot just in the yarn itself. And I'm going to weave some ends in. We're not going to tie any more knots. I've done with the knots. I'm going to pull it like that. Now we're going to cut it off. I've already tied the knot before I did that. Okay, So there's the top part. Now we have the bottom. This kind of rolls up, so it's going to hide the knot down here anyways. Remember how I had kind of looped it when we undid it? So I'm gonna, let's see where we looped it. Okay. So this is the beginning, the very beginning loop. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my needle and put the needle on this yarn down here to help me. I think I need to trim it actually. Okay, so you really just want to find a way to tie this off in a knot. So I'm just going to make a knot right where it is. Pull it tight. So I've now tied it off in a knot. It is good. Now all you're going to do now is kind of try to loop it where you can't see it. So you're just kind of trying to hide it in a stitch or two, and then we're going to cut the end off. Okay, we are good. And since it rolls up in the end anyways, you're not going to be able to even see it. We've tied a knot. We're going to cut it off real short like that. And ta-da! So there is the hat. It has the pom-pom attached to it. Look how cute that is. So super fast little hat. Does not take a long time. Obviously, the thicker the yarn, the faster it works up. And so like I said, this was a number 6, pretty thick yarn, and it's wool, so it's pretty puffy. So the thinner the yarn, the a little bit longer it's gonna take. But that's a super cute hat for an hour project and really cheap. These pom-poms are cheap. I will go ahead and, like I said, link the looms, the yarn, and the pom-poms in the description below the video. But I hope you like this video. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and make sure you subscribe for more videos. Bye, guys.